Hey, welcome back everybody, and we are doing Catacombs, where we have to kill all the monsters, which seems like a weird decision, because that's how you beat a level, is you have to kill all the monsters.
Tell that to speedrunners.
Anyway, and we're going to be going for our first secret right before we even run into a monster. We have to bunny hop our way up the geometry here, and get inside this hole. And there we go.
Ah, so that's what inspired Todd Howard.
I was about to make a joke.
Oh yeah, about the fucking horses. Yeah, never mind. Took me a second.
Horses, like, it was a thing, like, even in Oblivion, where some of the map geometry in Oblivion was really crap. Like, some really steep mountains with not a lot of place to walk on, so you have to basically jump around until you could find a place where you could actually ascend.
Yeah.
Yeah. It did help that in Oblivion you still had the acrobatic skill, and if you had that maxed out or bumped up to a high level, you could like jump really high and do some really silly stuff, like, and then jump up the mountains. Like a single jump, you go up 10 feet. You scale the mountain like that.
Yeah.
You bunny hop all the way to the top. But yeah,
it's too bad they removed things like levitating for Oblivion.
Yeah, it was really dumb. And the excuse was also really stupid.
Like,
was it because it was too hard?
In lore, the excuse is that the Empire just banned levitation magic, which makes no sense. Yeah, I bet that didn't stop murder.
Yeah, that's all you have to do is just make a law saying it's bad, and then people stop doing it. That's how reality works every time.
Yeah. That's why murders don't happen anymore.
There's at least one case in Morrowind, right, where it's like a mage, like a random mage, just falls out of the sky.
Yeah, but that was because he was doing the. That was the guy that you get the jump, the fortified jumping, the jump scrolls. No, it's a fortified acrobatics thing.
New enemy type, suicide bombers. They carry lit TNT, and then we immediately run into another new enemy. These weird mantis guys that throw sickles at you. And if you didn't get the stake gun in the last level, this is where you would get it. Right before this bridge, which for some reason has geometry tied to it. Or like a physics engine, I should say, sorry.
Oh.
What were you talking about before this?
You're talking about the jumpy wizard.
Oh yeah.
Yep. Levitate and it's.
Yeah, it's a funny event you find in the beginning of Morrowind. We'll get there someday, Sam. Don't worry.
Okay. I think I've seen some of the memes about it, and it did have me come up with an idea for basically if I ever do like a Sheogorath in a world building. Basically, he invented a hat that essentially allows you to teleport everywhere, but you do so by literally having to jump to it. And of course, him being a crazy god, he did not put in a failsafe as to how to land safely.
One thing I like about Sheogorath that most people overlook, because like in Oblivion and or mostly in Skyrim, he's just kind of wacky.
Yeah, but he's a god of law and order that the other gods were afraid of, so they made him crazy.
Well, yeah, the Jigalag comparison is part of what makes him interesting to me. One thing I like about him is, at least in some of the expanded lore, it goes into how malicious he can be with his insanity. Like, there's this whole story, I don't remember the exact details, but Malekith, the orc Daedra, he had a biological son, so like a demi-prince. And Sheogorath gave this demi-prince a weapon that caused him to go into like a berserker rage type thing. He could not contain himself. And he set him up to murder an orc girl. And then Sheogorath goes to Malekith, being like, "Oh, this orc was murdered. You must exact vengeance. And then he gives him the rage-inducing sword.
Okay.
Then Malekith goes and murders his own son because of Sheogorath. There's a bit more to it than that, but it's... Point being, Sheogorath is more than just haha cheese.
No, but cheese is the best part.
Was that before or after the event of Oblivion? The event of the Shivering Isles?
Lore-wise, before.
Yeah. Because I think they're trying to kind of soften up Sheogorath after it's implied that the hero of Kvatch becomes him.
Yeah, well, the hero of Kvatch mantles Sheogorath. That's where you get like the split, and Jiggalag split off from Sheogorath, so now it's just Sheogorath. We don't know the consequences of Jiggalag splitting yet. We don't know, but I do agree that might have been part of it. Having like the previous player character become the Daedra means they have to, or I wouldn't say it means they have to, but it might behoove them to soften a bit.
Yeah.
Something I forgot to mention about the Mantis guys. For whatever reason, if they're in an area where they can get to you within melee range, they will transform into like those big burly berserker guys. I don't, which is why they didn't transform into that when they were on the rock pillars.
I just realized how casually we spoiled Shivering Isles to people who haven't played it.
It's such an old DLC, my guy. It's if you're an Elder Scrolls fan and you haven't played the Shivering Isles DLC, that's your own fault by this point.
Was that the one for Oblivion? Because I did.
Yes.
Okay, I did do Oblivion. I just haven't done Morrowind, and I wouldn't mind going back and doing the first two games, even though they are basically like weird Doom shooter versions of the Elder Scroll, later Elder Scroll games.
They're very different, and a lot of the lore, like from the Daggerfall era, is not really applicable anymore.
Oh, okay. Anyway,
in truthness, like Daggerfall was probably the game that is where they really went heavy in the lore. Like
yes.
the whole point where the concept of Dragon Breaks exists is because
yes.
of Daggerfall. It's like
yes.
it was an excuse. It's an excuse they had to make all the different endings of Daggerfall canon at the same time.
Yes, they all happen simultaneously within the same timeline. But and then it kind of wraps up. The Dragon Breaks is a whole separate conversation of nonsense. Dragon Breaks are so silly.
Yeah, I was mentioning like one of the attempts at recording for the Mega Man video, I was talking to Sam about how nonsensical Elder Scrolls lore when it gets to all the reality bending stuff, like Dragon Breaks. In case you haven't explained it, Sam, like Dragon Breaks in Elder Scrolls lore is defined as a point where time becomes non-linear. So basically, lots of contradictory events can happen at the same time, and at some point the time converges again, and those contradictory events become canon.
okay.
So every ending in Daggerfall is canon.
So basically, it's like
Dagger-
Super Mandela effect. Got it.
Basically, yeah, it's also why there are so many. One of the theories as to why there are so many contradictory events surrounding the Nerevarine and the disappearance of the Nerevar and the disappearance of the Dwemer.
Well, there might have been a Dragon Break at Red Mountain.
Yeah, because the whole point is that they were trying to use the. Actually, we better not get into that.
Yeah. The reason why the condition here is to kill all the enemies is because there are dead ends, like I just found, where they'll spawn like a few enemies. And there's, I think, 2 or 3 spots throughout this level. I found the first one. It was very obvious. It was like the checkpoint's to the left, and then the dead end corner is to the right. Which way do you want to go?
Well,
I
at
think
least
at some-
they have the arrow to make it easier for you.
What would we do as gamers without the almighty arrow?
Draw
Flounder.
maps. Draw maps. As in the good old days.
Yeah, the good old days when there was actually the notes section at the end of manuals. Back when we had manuals.
I miss manuals.
I do too.
Like the old Dark Souls games, they never had maps in game.
Ah,
They had these nice interconnected areas. That,
Yeah, and I saw H-Bomber guy. Well, not H-Bomber guys. I saw someone respond to H-Bomber's guy, Dark Souls 2 video, basically explaining why the map in Dark Souls 2 is nonsensical.
Was it Mahler?
I believe so. Yes.
Because Mahler made that like 9-part series.
Yeah,
explaining
yeah. That was
why-
the one that I saw.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was a.
think at some-
Hmm?
I think at some point, I was just about to comment to Kel. I think at some point you're just gonna have to play Morrowind, just to come, just so we don't spoil the whole thing to you.
Oh, okay.
Morrowind is such a fantastic game. It's a bit hard to wrap around, and you basically have to abuse the systems, but it's really worth playing.
Okay. That's fine. We'll, I guess, figure out a day where we could either stream it or just do a record and see how it goes.
That's gonna be fun.
It'll be a long multi-parter. It could be interesting.
Yeah, no, like, I'll probably put that in, like, blind run and all that, so it's fine.
Semi-blind. We're gonna be there for you, Sam. Don't worry.
No, it'll be fully blind. I'll put on a blindfold and then ask you guys where my hands are, even though you can't see.
You're gonna be clicking, right clicking something, left clicking something, and like, am I hitting it? Am I hitting it? I used to have a wallpaper that was just some drawing a guy made of the Legends of map, the original game.
Oh god, that
I almost feel like we need to do that.
of growing up in the times that we did is we actually gave half a shit about like decorating our desktop computers.
I think we're all on the same page, right?
I
No,
believe
I'm
so.
sure there's some Zoomer out there who thinks we're weird.
Yeah.
Don't worry about
Back
those.
in my days, boss fights didn't have a voice telling you how to beat it all the time, every 5 seconds.
Back in my day, our Game Boys didn't have black lit screens, so if you were in the dark, fuck you.
Yep.
I never had a Game Boy.
Anyway, this is the last enemy in the game. It's a mini-boss, and this is like the one thing I will say I hate. This enemy is actually invincible, so you have to shoot some boards that are on the ceiling to create a bit of sunlight to come in, and then wait for him to walk towards you to get into the sunlight, and then hop away as he's about to hit you. And of course, since there's the hands there, he gets stuck on the geometry.
Oh no. This is a little bit of misguided game design.
A little bit, like... It also really fucks up with the flow that the rest of the game's going for. And as you can see, I do it, and because I did it slightly too early to avoid him uppercutting me, he just walked away out of the sunlight. So I was like, god damn it.
It kind of reminds me of Nihilant.
And there we go, did it.
Yeah. Although with Nihilant, the main annoyance was the fact that he could just randomly teleport you to some awful section of the game.
Yeah.
Zen was not a fun part of Half-Life 1. Like, I hated that. I hated the whole of Zen.
Anyway, and we got our first silver one, and we will see you next time. Have a nice night.
Bye-bye.
Bye.